Hello everyone. I want to talk to y'all today just a little bit about some things that I've had questions asked about. And these are things that especially new canners are going to have to learn. So the first thing that I want to show you is what it means to be finger tight with your lid. I'm going to sit my camera down here. I've got just an empty jar here that I'm going to demonstrate with, but you want to make sure that your rims of your jars are clean. Put your lid on. Now, when you make something finger tight, you can see how that's loose. Okay, it just started getting tight right there. Like right there is where it starts getting tight. You want to turn that about a ½ inch until it's, you do not want to lock it down like that, because if you do, that lid will buckle or blow off in the canner. So all I'm doing here is just turning it. Right there is where it's getting like, it's just beginning to tighten up. And if I take it from this, I've got a little water stain on that ring right there, and I'm going to take it to about right here, just ½ inch. And if it starts to really get tight, stop. So that's where you're talking about finger tight. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is siphoning. And there's multiple things that can cause siphoning in your canning. And I want to address a couple of those with you today. Now, one of the first things that will cause siphoning is your headspace is not right. So make sure you look at your recipe and see what your headspace is supposed to be. The biggest majority of the things that you're going to be canning are going to be 1 inch headspace. And I do want to show you this. See that rim right there? That is almost always right at 1 inch. So if you put your food up to the bottom of that rim, you're going to have about a 1 inch headspace. So that's an easy way to tell. But pay attention to your recipe and make sure that you're getting your headspace right. Now, the other thing that can cause siphoning, and some of y'all will recognize what I'm saying whenever I'm talking about this, especially when you're pressure canning. When you put your jars in the pressure canner and put it through the whole process, when your canner's off, and you let the canner cool back down and the pressure gauge is back down to 0. Or, you can tell if there's no more pressure, if you don't have a pressure gauge, but you've got a weight, there will be no more steam. It won't jiggle at all if you touch that jiggler. So make sure that your canner goes all the way back to 0 pressure. And then once it's at 0 pressure, leave that food in that canner for 15 to 30 minutes. You want to let it start to cool down inside of the canner. Now, what I normally do, depending on how much food I have for that day, if I'm just doing one pot, then I'll let it sit in the canner for 30 minutes, and then I'll go and open the canner and just open it so that a little bit of air is getting in the canner, but I'll leave the lid on the canner and let it sit there for another 15 to 30 minutes. And you will not have siphoning if you do that. And if you take your jars out of the canner and into the air, there's a few things that can happen. One is that those jars, if you've got a weak jar, it could explode coming out of that hot canner and into a cool air. So you don't want to do that. And the other thing is that when you set your jar out on a towel, don't ever put it on a cold countertop, because you're going to get that shock from coming to the hot to the cold. And once again, your jar could explode or break when you do that. And so make sure that you've got a towel down and set that jar on that towel. But if you've taken it out of the canner too soon, then you may see some spewing around your lids. That is because the air pressure difference coming from the canner to the open air in your room, especially if your room is cool, it's going to start spewing out. And that's especially so if you're doing something that is any acidic at all, like like pasta sauce or something like that. So make sure that that you don't take it out too quickly. And also try not to set your jars out like where an air-conditioned vent will be blowing on them. You don't want that temperature change to be drastic, because you're going to have siphoning even outside of the canner if you do that. So anyway, I just wanted to address these things for you all today. I'm going to give y'all a little bit of a heads up. Some of y'all know that I failed. Not once, but twice I failed, just from my own klutziness. And so I saw my doctor this week. Excuse me. They're pretty sure I might have a tear in my rotator cuff. And so I'm having an MRI done next week, and then I will see a surgeon the following week. I'll keep y'all updated. If it's a small tear, they have a new procedure that's like a blood patch that they can do instead of surgery. And I'm hoping if I've got a tear, that's what's going to happen. But anyway, I just want to give y'all a heads up that the videos may be few and far between during that time. I'd appreciate if you've not been on my channel all along, if you go back and watch some of my videos so that my watch hours don't drop drastically during that time. YouTube has their criteria for how many watch hours you have to have. And so anyway, I'm just trying to get my watch hours to what their criteria calls for. And so anyway, until the next time, God bless you all.